Good afternoon and welcome to a new episode of Guru's Perspective. And today I want to talk about some things that was going on in college basketball on the men and women's side. I want to focus on the NBA, what's going on right now in the second half of the season as well. I want to start off by telling you guys some news that I just seen popped up on my phone. Nine-time Pro Bowl offensive tackle Jason Peters is expected to retire after playing 19 NFL seasons and 248 NFL games. Seahawks general manager John Snyder told reporters at the combine the 43-year-old Peters is a former undrafted free agent who went on to pave a path leading into the Canton, Ohio, basically meaning I believe as well as he played in his years in the NFL and being 43 years old and he was still playing at a high level. I would be surprised if he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer after his 5 years. It'd be a travesty if he doesn't, because he was one of the greats in the game and who paved the way for many to come. I want to talk about and kind of push off in the NFL because right now I believe they're going to be in the combine and I'm just getting ready for the NFL draft and the free agency. But when that time comes, you guys can check it out and I'll show you how you can reach that and get the information you need about the guys who's going to be in free agency, who's changing teams. I want to start off and I want to talk about what happened in the ladies' college basketball. I want to start off with that right now, and say that the number one Notre Dame was upset by now number nine, who was number 14, North Carolina State, 104 to 95. The crazy part about that game was Notre Dame just got the number one spot. After UCLA fell, and they ended up saying Notre Dame was the number one team, and then now they lost to North Carolina State, and now that moves them down to number three, and it's a new number one in town now, and that's the Texas Longhorns. Texas Longhorns played some really good teams and won. They beat LSU and South Carolina back to back. And I definitely believe that they get credit for that. And I'm going to give them their flowers and say they deserve the number one overall, ranking. The only issue I have right now is, UCLA only lost one game. But I believe it being since it was USC and they lost so late in the season, and that's the reason why they dropped like they did. That score was 104 to 95. Hannah Hidalgo did what she do best. She played and she played at a high level. She had 26 points. And Zoe Brooks of the North Carolina State, I was just really surprised that Zoe Brooks played that well. She had 33 points and she needed all 33 points to get that win. It went into double overtime too, so it wasn't like, that they just went and steamrolled through Notre Dame. Notre Dame still had a lot of fight in them, but unfortunately, they ended up losing that game. It was a really good contest. Besides that, UCLA was number three right now, and they was in a really close contest with Iowa. I definitely thought Iowa was going to pull that game off, but in the end, they prevailed and they stay at the number three slot, and that's the reason why I think they went down a little bit, even though they lost one game. It's just so much stuff that went on with them. Come on now, you can't lose and then almost lose to an unranked team, which I was surprised because I thought that Iowa was still ranked. But I want to move on now, and I want to talk about some of the things that was going on right now in the NBA. And it's a lot that's been happening in the NBA so far, and I want to talk about it. Yesterday, the Timberwolves were down by 20 plus points entering the fourth quarter. If I'm not mistaken, they were down 25 points and they were on the road facing a team with an 1,800 plus win percentage. And no other team in NBA history has been in that situation and come back and win the game. That was a crazy contest too, because I really thought once I first saw it, I said there ain't no way that they're going to lose this game. It's just really disappointed to see that they collapsed like that. That final score was 131 to 128 in overtime. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played like he always played. He had 39 points and he had 10 rebounds with 8 assists. The problem was at the end of the game when they were trying to close out and win, it was a block shot by Anthony Edwards, and that concluded the game. Very excited. It was good for this part of the season. we're getting close to trying to seed all the teams in the playoffs and rank them and get ready for what's going to happen in April once the playoffs launch. But until then, I still want to see how the race go right now because second seed is the Memphis Grizzlies, but I still believe that it's a stranglehold on the division by OKC being 46-11. After the Philadelphia 76ers losing streak extended to 8 straight games with Monday night 142 to 110 32 point like debacle, a loss to the Chicago Bulls of all teams, and no disrespect, but the Chicago Bulls is not really a great team neither. They're probably one of the worst teams, and they lost Zach LaVine, and that speaks volumes. Star forward Paul George didn't hold back in his opinion of the state of the team. George told reporters that the Sixers have shown no signs that the team would compete and expressed his doubt that they would be able to contend in a playoff spot, let alone a championship. I don't really know what's going on in Philly and why this always seems like this is the case. You try to get a big three over there and you try to match them up with Joel Embiid and now Tyrese Maxey, and it seems like it never works. At one point, it was, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, and you matched them up with, my man's, over in Golden State right now, Jimmy Buckets. That seemed like that didn't materialize. He ended up leaving, and he laughed because he felt like when they got Tobias Harris, that's the guy that they felt like was going to fill the shoes of what he was going to fill over with the Philadelphia 76ers. So now you had, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and you have Tobias Harris after the Jimmy Butler situation. Things didn't materialize and go well, and he went over and he came to the Detroit Pistons, my Detroit Pistons. Now you have Paul George, who he left the Los Angeles Clippers, and it was money wise. They didn't want to pay him, but then they paid Kawhi, a guy who, no disrespect, who seems like he's always injured. And when they need him to play and be at his best, he's always sitting out in street clothes and not playing when the competition gets tough. That's my opinion. I'm the words coming out my mouth. I'm not saying anything anybody else ever think about, and that's just true facts. Let's be honest. He went over now to the Philadelphia 76ers team a lot of people thought was going to compete. They looked and they said, hey, man, this might be a team that can take off Boston. And the Cleveland Cavaliers is one of them teams who's the biggest threat right now. When you look at the record of 20-34, man, I'm surprised that I heard that they was only like 2 games back and the play-in round. That just lets you know how bad the East is on the bottom half. No disrespect, because at one point on the Detroit Pistons was number 8. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if we're looking at seeding and how well the teams are playing, the Pistons won 7 games in a row. Go Bad Boys 2.0. And right now they're in the 6th seed. But I just don't really see anything materializing with Joel Embiid still having knee issues, and he's talking about having to get surgery in off season. Tyrese Maxey is still playing at a high level. Can't blame that brother. I think that they need to figure out what they're going to do with Joel Embiid. And now you have, Paul George, who's not happy, and it seems like definitely he's going to want out eventually soon as well. Don't know what the hell's going on with that organization, but they need to get it fixed, and they need to get it fixed fast. Like I was just saying, let me correct myself. Philadelphia fell to 20-37. And they sit 12th in the Eastern Conference, and they're 2.5 game backs in the tournament. So that's big volumes right now. I'm just figuring like they need to figure out what they're going to do with Joel Embiid. They paid him all that money last offseason, and I just don't think things are going to change. And it's time for him to look for what he's going to do in the future. But I wouldn't feel like the future would be with Philly. But with that type of money, nobody's going to want to take that hit on the team with any trade. So they just going to have to probably stick that out. And it's a joke because I know Philly fans deserve better than that, especially after the Philadelphia Eagles came off of another Super Bowl victory. The Los Angeles Lakers lost to the Charlotte Hornets in overtime Wednesday night, and that's with the new addition of Luka Doncic, 100-97. And Talking Heads was asking at the time who should have took that shot. Should have been LeBron James and Luka Doncic. And the funny thing is, it doesn't matter who took the shot. I still feel like right now that they were gassed. And Luka is still not really the Luka that we know and we're used to once it comes to deep in the playoffs. So I didn't really question that game and didn't really worry about it. But then, everybody else started to worry about it, especially the talking heads, like I was saying. LeBron James in the fourth quarter since joining the Los Angeles Lakers in 2018, 2019, with 5 seconds in the fourth quarter or overtime, is 1 in 29. You know, did I let that rattle me, or did that make me say he's a bad player and they need to step away from him and do better? Absolutely not. I still feel like they have a chance, and they've been really doing well right now. And the only worse in that span is Anthony Edwards, a over 13 minimum of 10 shots. But I feel like right now they're playing really well. The defense is on a good level right now. JJ Redick got him playing at a high level as well. Luke is starting to become himself, and that blowout victory they had of 23 points over the Denver Nuggets starting to speak volumes as well, because that's a healthy Denver Nuggets team. Yeah, I still feel like the Los Angeles Lakers still needed a big man. And when they lost Anthony Davis, that hurt. But then as soon as they trade him, he was injured and he's out for a while. I'm just hoping Alex Len do well for them, because I feel like when he was playing with the Sacramento Kings, he played phenomenal. You got a young guy in Alex Len that you're not going to pay as much money for. Unfortunately, they lost out with Mark Williams with the injury, and they said in the physical that didn't materialize. But I just want to look forward to seeing what they're going to do now. Do I think that they can make a deep playoff run? Possibly, definitely, with Luka Doncic being on that team and being the leader. I'm just hoping that he don't get, beside himself and start arguing with referees and start dogging and half-ass playing like he's done in the past. If he could just stay level-headed and play well with LeBron James, I definitely feel like that team could be a dangerous team. Speaking of the Denver Nuggets, over his last 9 games, Nikola Jokic is averaging 30-point triple doubles. He's shooting 60% from the field and is undefeated. Until that game, of course. No one else in the NBA history has done all of those over a span of more than 4 games. So, yeah, this is still counting, and this is letting us know that that guy's still an MVP caliber player. Do I think that it belongs beside Julius Alexander? Possibly, but still, you can't count out Joker in this situation. LeBron James has 6 straight games with at least 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. Other than James, there has been 5 such games in total by players 40 or older in NBA history. Michael Jordan had 3, Karl Malone had 1, and John Stockton had a game as well with all those, attributes. Big man of the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, I know you guys heard this already. I just want to reiterate this. Bobby Portis Jr. has been suspended 25 games without pay for violating the terms of the NBA NBPA anti-drugging program. The league communication department tweeted Portis tested positive for tramadol. According to drugs.com, tramadol is an opioid agonist that may be used to treat moderate or moderately severe chronic pain in adults. Portis suspension begins February the 20th, of course, and that was a game between the Bucks and the Clippers. And the Bucks played 53 games prior to the All-Star break, which means Portis won't be eligible to return until April the 8th, when the Bucks host the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, the sad part about this is I've read a little bit more on it. If you guys want you to do your research, but I can explain what I've seen. If I'm hurt and banged up, it's 82 game season. I noticed Bobby Portis never really been injured, and he hasn't been out a long time when he plays. He's always played high caliber, and he's played multiple games without really being out for a long period and span of time. What that does to tramadol, they say it helps with moderate and severe pain. So even if you're in pain, you can take that and you can feel like you're unstoppable. They wanted him to stop that, and when they found out that was in his system, they suspended him, because that could be in your system, and that could be something that's addictive. That's just like me playing baseball. and using some type of substance, as far as a PhD to get advantage in hitting, and just me getting advantage on other players as well, like banned supplements. These are banned for a reason, and it's because of the fact that the players get a better edge when they play. And the Tramadol is definitely helping him out. And I know he's been a good player. And the sad part is I've been giving him so much love and credit and saying he reminds me of a 90s flashback. But still, you're taking that, man. That's basically spitting on the game as well, because you're doing this and you're basically hurting everybody on your team. You won't be back until, April the 8th. That's a nice little time. Do I think Milwaukee will still make a playoff run? Yeah, they will. How far would they go? I don't know. But then that's still just staying on Bobby Porter's Jr. name. And, one of the players who I feel like who's one of the veteran premier players as well. This season, the New York Knicks are averaging 125.9 points per game when playing on 0 days of rest. That would be the highest scoring average in the season on the second game of a back to back since 1961 1962 Philadelphia Warriors. They averaged 126.2. Bad side of all this is when they do get their rest, they just don't seem like they're doing well against the better teams in the league. Three of the top three teams in the league right now is giving them problems. The Knicks are 0-2 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have the best record right now in the East. The Knicks are also 0-2 against OK City Thunder. And OKC Thunder is like one of the best teams. I think they've got the second best record in the league after the loss just recently to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And they are 0-3 against the reigning defending champions, Boston Celtics. I think the X factor would be figuring out what they're going to do with Cat when Mitchell Robinson comes back, because he's basically their big man and he usually plays the center role. So Cat can probably go back down to the power forward. I want to see how that escalate, but I just don't feel like they're still ready to compete yet. Maybe that's just me, but hell, the playoffs is a totally different atmosphere. So we'll just have to wait and see. More bad news that I had too, that I know if you guys didn't know about, I want to bring you back and take you down this trip down memory lane. Unfortunately, this recently happened. All-Star center Victor Wembanyama has been diagnosed with a deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder and is expected to miss the remainder of the 2024-2025 season. That was a huge blow because I really still feel like with them getting De'Aaron Fox was going to really help elevate them. They already had Chris Paul, and I wanted to see what they did and how they was going to do as far as the team and the unit, and they've been playing pretty well. To get De'Aaron Fox to an All-Star break, I said, man, that's definitely going to help them because not only they're going to be a better team, but then they'll have more weapons that, put around Victor Wembanyama. You got one of the best point guards in the league right now who has been during my generation of basketball is Chris Paul. And then you got Victor Wembanyama, a young talent who needed that, veteran presence. And then you have De'Aaron Fox as one of the premier players in the league. That hurts, man. And unfortunately, too, I'm believing right now the Greg Popovich might not be back. He has some health issues, they were saying, and that might take him out this year. And unfortunately, they're saying he possibly might not return to the NBA in the 2025-2026 season. I want to see what happened there. I'm going to keep my eye on that news. But, yeah, I'm just wishing well for Greg Popovich, him and his family. Jared Allen of the Cleveland Cavaliers is the only player since the NBA ABA merger to have a 20 rebound double double while playing 25 minutes or less. This is one of the players who I feel like who was really good, and I was surprised that when that deal came with Kevin Durant that they ended up dealing him off and having Durant go to the Nets. But after that, he's been nothing but great for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's one of the best defenders, shot blockers, and just all around true centers in the game that I've seen in a long time. He's not out there trying to look pretty, shooting threes. He's grabbing rebounds, blocking shots, dunking on people. He dunked on Ja just the other night. And I just feel like he's a really good player, man. I love his game. He's so old school. I just like the way, he carried himself. He got the afro, he don't care about what he wear and what people think. He just go out there and he just want to play ball. And that's why I like Jared Allen, man. He's basically a throwback, player. I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers has been impressive too since that, 2024-2025 season. The only team that they had losing records against this season is two teams in the East right now. Well, yeah, in the Eastern Conference. They're 1-2 against the Boston Celtics, and yeah, they got the best record, but to be the best team, you got to beat the best team. And unfortunately, I don't really see too many people beating Boston in 7 games right now. And they're 1-2 against the Atlanta Hawks, who they've been playing really good ball. Trey Young definitely seemed like he stepped up and he's being a good leader over there. And just want to see how far they go too, because that team always on the cusp. It just seems like they're there and they'll do well in the playoffs, but they usually don't get past that second round. This year, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get past the first round. I want to talk about this man right here, who's a MVP, who I think who should be the MVP. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things going on with Jokic too, and I don't think that they'll give him back to back to back. I think at this point, Joker is so good that I don't think he's going to get a lot of the credit on some of the stats that I was just saying too. Bashak Gilgis Alexander, in each of his last 51 games, has scored 20 points while playing under 40 minutes. No other player in NBA history had done that in more than 30 consecutive games. The only person who did that was Joel Embiid when he had a 30-game streak during the 2022-2023 MVP season. Cade Cunningham and Trey Young are the first pair of opposing players in NBA history that each have 35 plus points, 10 plus assists, and 5 threes made in the same game. Cade Cunningham scored 29 of his points in the first half. This guy has been an all-star this year, and I give credit to JB Bickerstaff and how well the Pistons have been playing. I've had talks with some of my homeboys and talking heads and just people who I know. I said that I believe they could win 30 games this year. They're 32-26, and it's crazy because of how well they've been playing this year. And I didn't see them doing this well at first, and just was really surprised. Under Drew Casey and our last coach too, forgot his name. It'll come to me. But they have a record of 31 and 133. With JB Bickerstaff, their record right now is 31-26. And this is still like at the halfway point of the season. They're just into the second part of the season. Combined with Drew Casey and just the recent coach we had, the record in general with from the 2022 to 2024 season is 31 and 133. So those two high caliber coaches that they brought in is Monty Williams. Okay, there it is. Monty Williams was the guy. Monty Williams, everybody felt like he was discredited and they didn't treat him well when he was in Phoenix, the way he left and the way he exited. I still looked at it like, well, yeah, well, they were there and they were always close, but then there was a lot of injuries. I feel like that held them back. Unfortunately, Chris Paul was injured, and then KD ended up being injured. That was just, misfortunes. But to get him and Drew Casey, two coaches who were like coaches of the year and did well with their other collective teams, and to come over and give us that crap, the 31 and 133 with the Pistons, man, that's what people expected. And then people start to dog out the organization. Me, in general, I said, man, it's a mess over here. They need to clean it up and figure out what they're going to do. All they needed was a defensive minded coach and JB Bickerstaff and a culture change. And look at them guys right now, 31-26, and they just beat a really good team last night in the Los Angeles Clippers. And I believe Cade Cunningham had 32 points in that contest as well. Last night, The Trailblazers beat the Hornets by 53 points, 141 to 88, after already suffering two losses by 40 plus points in the 2024-2025 season. Portland is the first team to have a 50-point win in the season while having multiple 40-point losses since the Baltimore Bullets in 1970-1971. It's been so iffy and upside down to me right now in the NBA, and I don't really mean to trash or even throw any shade on the NBA, but it reminds me too much of the Euro League, man. I can't say they need to get back to the 80s and 90s style of play, but at least I feel like they cared and they had passion for the game. I can't question a lot of these guys' passion, but you see some of your bigger players pouting and moaning and not happy, and they're always unsatisfied and they always want more. Most players want to get traded to like these super duper teams and they want more money. And I still feel like I just don't feel like they have enough passion for the game at some point. And that's just me. Like I said, I watch basketball. I don't really watch it as much as I used to because of that. And then they shoot too many damn threes. I get tired of seeing that all the time. But it's unfortunate because when you hear things like that, man, it's just really bad when you see all these 3-point shots being selected, players not wanting to play. Joel Embiid just up and saying, man, I'm not going to play back to backs, and you're just hearing a lot of crazy things going on. That's just like me going to my job and saying, yeah, now that I filled out my job application and I'm hired, I'm not going to be working every Monday and Tuesday. I might work Monday. I'm not going to work Tuesday. I might work Tuesday, but I ain't working that Monday. And oh, yeah, by the way, I might not work on Sundays every now and then. I'll let you know when I feel like it. You're paying me and I filled out a contract, and then I'm not playing and not even honoring my contract to the fullest extent. So yeah, I feel like it's been a joke right now, man, and a lot of shade has been going on in the NBA. I just want to know you guys' opinion because I still don't really feel satisfied in the way things have been going down. I want to get into some of the college basketball now. Amari Williams of Kentucky is the first Division One or NBA player to have a game with 15 plus points, 4 blocks, 100% field goal shooting, 100% free throw shooting, and with no fouls. Since Paul George did it for the Lakers on November the 20th, Paul Gasol. Let me get that right, correct that. Paul Gasol did it for the Lakers on November the 21st in 2010. Alabama has scored at least 85 points in 8 consecutive road games. They're not all wins, but they at least scored 85 in most of those games. Let's don't get it twisted. That's the longest such streak on the road by any Division One team in a single season since George Mason in 1994 and 1995. Also, 80. The last longest single season streak was by UNLV in 1990-1991 with 12. On January the 18th, Wisconsin John Tonje went scoreless in 22 minutes in 8 games. Since then, he has scored 201 points, 25.1 points per game. Only one other Division One player in this 21st century has gone scoreless in 20 plus minutes, only to score 200 plus points over his next 8 games. Can you guys take a guess? That's my man Stephen Curry. On February 19th marks the first time Kansas has lost by 30 plus points by an unranked opponent since the AP poll began in 1948-1949. They were the only current Division One school that had never suffered a 30-point loss by an unranked team in an AP poll era. So that lets you know how good Kansas has been over the last few years. I love to see them, play well, but then you never know what Kansas team you're going to get. You can get a team that's going to play well all season and have the best record in the season, and then you could turn around and they can lose in the first round of, March Madness. That's just the type of team they are. There's two teams I used to remember to be that way. Villanova would be a really good team during the regular season, and then when it comes to March Madness, they can lose in the first round, and so has Kansas. As a freshman, Blake Harper of the Howard University have had a 30 plus point triple double, a 30-point game on 80% shooting, a 30% game with zero turnovers, and a 30-point game with 20 plus free throws made. No other NBA or WNBA player, Division One or women's player in this century has done all four in the same season. It's not really a lot that's going on like that I've seen really that was happening in college with the men's part on their side. But Blake Harper is somebody I've definitely been keeping my eye on. It's like, you got your Cooper Flags and you got Caleb Love, and there's a few guys out there who still been balling. But I definitely want to see what's going to happen in this March, season once the playoffs start to come around. But I haven't really seen a lot on that end, but I definitely want to start watching more. It's a lot more that I can take care of and, kind of give you guys now since the NFL is over with. The NBA, I'm going to talk more about that as well and get more into the college hoops with women. I want to start this off too by saying I have one more unfortunate Black History Month that I wanted to talk about. I still had two left, but I wanted to bring somebody who I felt like to the forefront that I thought that was worth talking about right now. And one of the people who I had in mind is Don Barksdale. He was born in 1923 and died in 1993. Was a basketball pioneer and the first African American to play in an NBA All-Star game. He was also the first African American to play in the U.S. Olympic basketball team. Early life, he was born in Oakland, California, learned basketball in the parks and recreation centers, won the 1944 National AAU Triple Jump Champion, earned a scholarship to UCLA College. And he became the first Black consensus All-American, played on UCLA basketball team. In his professional career, he signed with the Baltimore Bullets in 1951, played 2 seasons with the Bullets and 2 with the Boston Celtics. He retired from basketball in 1955 due to an ankle injury. In post-basketball career, he became a radio host and entrepreneur. Founded Save High School Sports, a nonprofit that helps support local athletes. And he was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. And his legacy is Barksdale's career paved the way for the future generation of African American athletes. That's something when you hear it, you kind of start to get a little bit rattled and you get upset at the way the guys in the NBA have been playing and how they stay in the sport sometimes. But at the same time, we have pioneers to pave the way for those guys. I definitely hope things can get a little bit better and Adam Silver can get things kind of under control and get things in the grasp where, the players are not taking over and kind of get some type of settlement or get something going on with those guys. And we all talked about before, me and my homeboy, Buck basically said one of the main things that we would like for them to do right now is to cut down the games. We already were saying 162 was too many for baseball. And, they need to cut the women's games, or bring them up a little bit, make it to like 55. But then the men should definitely be at least 60 average, 60, maybe 62, if you want to throw that out there. I appreciate you guys all chiming in and listening to the Google Perspective every week. And I have the ways that you can get with me if you want to check me out. These are all my networks that you can check me out on. And I appreciate you all chiming in. Of course, you can follow me on all my networks. Pretty soon I'm going to be getting ready to do the free agency. And I might talk a little bit about the combine. But for now, I just wanted to say thank you all for chiming in and listening to the show. I appreciate you all. And hopefully I'll be doing the show next week. I got a lot of things I'm trying to do right now, trying to get my workout on EV Mux. There's still a lot of new things we're trying to do, a lot of exciting things that we want to bring you guys in the 2025 season of the podcast. But I would like to say, that being said, thank you all for chiming in. Have a blessed day and peace until the next episode. And I will definitely be seeing you Wednesday at 9 p.m. too on the Google Sports session.